I always say, look at that number and imagine every single number is a real person and put them all in a room. So whether your audience is 10 people, imagine you were showing 10 people your photo. That would be a little nerve-wracking.
We have a lot of friends right now who are in similar boats. They're just nervous about starting because they don't want to make something that sucks. But I think that's part of it. Make something that sucks. And initially, I think you'll be...
Put that on a hat.
Make something that sucks.
Welcome to the Golden Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Mays, and we're here in the PolarPro studio. Today we spoke with Lizzie Peirce and Chris Howe. And Chris Howe is actually the third Chris that we've interviewed on this show so far. Chris Romes, Chris Burkhardt, and now Chris Howe. That makes 3 out of 6 episodes with people named Chris. I just think that's kind of funny that half of our episodes are with Chris's. Both Chris and Lizzie have a huge following combined, and they kind of come as a pair, and I really love the fact that we interviewed both of them. This is the first couple that we've ever interviewed on the podcast, and it was really interesting to see their dynamic as a couple and to hear their story about how they started working together. If you're not familiar with Lizzie and Chris's work, both of them are amazing photographers and filmmakers who make a living doing YouTube, Instagram, and commercial work. And I think no matter where you are in your career, you can take something from both Chris and Lizzie and apply it to your work. Chris and Lizzie just got engaged, and I haven't seen anything on their social platform really telling the story of how that happened. So that was the first question that I asked. Okay, so we're here with Chris Howe and Lizzie Peirce, who are newly engaged, I believe.
Yes.
This is true.
Tell me
6
about
months.
that. Tell me about that. How did you propose?
Yeah, I'll give the quick proposal story.
Oh.
So actually, this is interesting because I haven't shared this in a video yet, but I've wanted to make a video a little bit around this. So,
Yeah.
So
Lizzie and I
exclusive.
kind of an exclusive.
Yeah,
So
now you'll know how it happened.
Lizzie and I got engaged in October. We also bought our first home in October. And since we travel a lot, I kind of had the sense that if I proposed while we were on a trip, she would know that it was going to happen. So like, how do you propose to someone who might have a sense that it's coming up? Pick a time that she least expects it. So on the day we took possession of our home, I'll even just share a little bit of context of that day, which was really interesting. So I was planning on proposing that day when we got the keys to our home. That day was a really great day. It was like the beautiful day in Toronto, Canada. It was really nice.
It was really nice and sunny.
Lizzie was working on a YouTube video.
I was trying to do a same day upload, so
Same
I was
day
really
upload,
stressed out.
film it, and she was really stressed out. And I was like,
Because we had to
I'll
go
help
get
you
the
with
keys.
whatever you want, whatever you need. You want me to help shoot it? Let's shoot the thumbnail. And she's like,
Yeah, and I was like,
why?
why? He's being really nice to me today, but like, I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to be supportive. I don't
It needs to
know.
be perfect.
Yeah.
So she finishes up her upload. We're at the Starbucks, and she's like kind of like around the corner, and she's finally finished uploading. I'm like, you have no idea what's about to happen at all. And funny enough, good friends with Peter McKinnon, I was texting him like updates along the way because he's like, you
sending
better
him
update
pictures
me.
of me.
Yeah.
So I'm sending like
Working,
secret
focusing.
pictures of Lizzie while she's like working and super focused behind her laptop. Anyways,
That's good documentation.
yes.
Yeah.
So we grab the keys, we go upstairs, and about 10 minutes into it, I was like, oh, Lizzie, I have a gift for you. Close your eyes. And she's like,
I was like, I didn't get you anything. Was I supposed to get you a housewarming present? And I'm thinking he's going to bring out like a picture frame or something cute and be like, we can hang this on the wall in our home.
yeah.
And then it wasn't that.
In short, I go up to her with the ring, and I'm already like sobbing. I'm a bit of a sappy guy.
I opened my eyes and
Yeah.
he was already crying. And I was like, what's happening? And then I saw the ring box. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. So we kept the proposal actually really just close to us. We didn't film it. We didn't do anything like that. Because we document so much of our lives, was the one moment I wanted only us to have.
I like that.
And that's a big thing that I kind of wanted to like. Funny enough, the irony of like encompassing that in a video moving forward. So
Yeah.
the only thing that we have from that day is a single Polaroid photo. And that I just wanted like a single memory to trigger all the feelings that day was for us.
I just didn't want us to be distracted. I really wanted us to be in the moment, because the second you realize someone's watching you and they're kind of judging your reaction as well. And also, I'm not a crier. And so I think most people expect the girl to be like, oh my God. And I'm not that. So
yeah. So I think
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
I don't cry.
No judgment to people who want to film it. I think it is a really special thing. I just think for our relationship, this was the storyline and the way of doing it that worked best for us.
Totally. It was in private in your home.
Yeah.
It's great.
So at some point, we're probably going to make a little video around that with the messaging that we kind of talked a little bit about here. But just having moments to yourself, I think, are in a world where we capture everything, it was kind of cool to not capture it.
Yeah, that's how it was for us too. I proposed to my wife in Vegas because she's from Vegas, but she didn't want it to be in public either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you go in private in Vegas?
Yeah.
So
the bathroom.
so my friends had their hotel room.
Wait, did you propose from the bathroom?
No,
Okay.
no. Yeah, so I took like rose petals and candle lights and like made a little heart in the living room of the hotel room of my friends, and we were gonna go pick them up to go to dinner.
Right.
And like as we walk in, she sees the whole thing, and that's where it happened. So like she didn't want to like a bunch of people to see it.
Yeah.
She can get a little self-conscious about that. So
Totally.
it's really special.
Well, the other thing was you want to remember it how you remember it, not seeing it from an outside perspective or even watching it through a video or something like that, because that can change the way that it felt, I think.
Yeah, I also think just naturally as we are as humans, we kind of like remember the best parts of it. So to have like an exact documentation of how it went, I think is a little different than how you felt and how you imagine it being. So I think it feels even more special looking back on it when you're kind of having nostalgic moments.
You
about
can add your rose-colored glasses afterwards.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So we've been engaged for a couple months now. It's been great.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's different than dating, isn't it? It's got a weird mental thing.
People treat you differently, which we
which
wanted.
We've seen both in our family and in business too, which is really nice. Within our families, there's just a level of like, good job, like from like all our brothers and stuff like that, like excellent.
Yeah,
well,
which
now you're
surprised
actually
me.
a part.
Well,
of
the context is too that you've been dating for a while, so that's
Like,
probably why
I
you're.
think
on
they
7
were all
years.
kind of. They might have been looking at you like, "All right, how serious are you?"
This
has been going on for too
Oh, like
long.
your family?
My family,
Gotcha.
yeah, and I have several brothers, and
Are they married?
no, but some of them were.
Yeah.
And a sister that's pretty tough.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And one of the other things that we saw was just the way that people kind of took us seriously in our business. I think, we started our business together like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And anytime you show up on set and you're like, they kind of have a sense that we're dating or we're together. And I think people don't take it as seriously. They're like, "Oh, that's cute.
It's my girlfriend."
You have a business together. That's
understand
cute.
that, yeah.
Wonder how long this will last." Even though we know that it's serious, we know it's great. I think just on the outside, people don't always treat it that seriously. And we've just experienced with our clients and just in business in general that there's just a level of seriousness and more acceptance and just level of respect.
So you did it for business reasons.
Yeah, purely for business reasons. No, definitely not. But
you mentioned that Peter McKinnon was a part of you, having the idea of like, okay, maybe it's time to propose. Can you share that?
Yeah, I mean, Peter's so. Just to give us some more context, he's married.
With a
Peter's
kid.
a close friend of mine. He has kids, and we would just talk a lot about it, as friends, one-on-one, not as YouTubers and as collaborators. And I just remember one day he was just like, "Dude, just do it. It's not scary. It's amazing. She's an awesome girl. You obviously know this."
No, he was saying things to you like, "So why haven't you done it yet?"
Yeah, well, yeah.
And you didn't have a good answer.
Kind of calling you out
a little bit. It's like a little bit of like support and calling me out, like as
a good friend would do.
Yeah, as like the friendly jabs, but in the same way of being like supportive, right? So, those little moments of having friends who have been through it and or going through it, just help, get you to that next stage and wanting to do it. And we were in a position in our lives, emotionally, financially, and everything like that we could do it. And it was great.
We were gonna start living together, and yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm sure everybody's
Thanks.
anxious for awesome wedding pictures and stuff. But
yeah,
We'll
see.
wait a
a
little
lot of
while.
people always ask. I'm like, I think we're gonna hire like 3 wedding photographers so that we have different styles.
Nice.
Yeah.
A film shooter.
Yeah, we actually will probably.
Yeah.
Because I have someone that I really like, and then you have someone that you really like, so we might have both of them.
Yeah. So funny enough, we might actually have 2 or 3 photographers at our wedding, and then I also
Photographers
want.
might not like that, but
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
But it's kind of cool because, I think people all have their inherent styles, and it's really funny because I would love photos. I kind of position it like this. There's certain photos I would love to like hang up on our wall as like very artistic pieces, but they wouldn't quite match our Instagram grids. And then there'd be like a photographer that I would love to have who just takes really great Instagram photos that suits more of the style of our grid. And then I would also like somebody who just shoots very like lifestyle-y, fun photos that's more for like family and sharing. And maybe it's just
Here-
shot on
here
a
more.
Some
pole, right?
candids.
Yeah, exactly. More
Yeah.
candids and things that, they don't have to be professional level. They're just memories.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the three categories that we want, which is weird, but they're all meaningful to us. And as people who value photography and videography at such a high level,
Yeah.
we want those different categories.
And it's funny because my mom tried to say to us, she's like, you don't need to worry about the wedding photos. You barely ever take out that album. I was like, do you know me at all?
Mom.
Do you know what we do? And she was like, oh, right.
What did
That's
they
gonna
do
be a
20
big
years
portion
ago?
of it.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I know they did. My parents got married. They have like a couple of pictures, and it's just them standing together by a tree.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's it. Like,
It's always by a
That's
tree.
pretty much what it is. Yeah.
So many trees at weddings.
In some really great 80s wedding dress.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been married for almost 5 years, and we just pulled a bunch of favors because I shot like 300 weddings in the last 6 years. That's kind of how I cut my
Crazy,
teeth.
man.
A wedding
Nice.
shooter.
It's the best way to learn.
It
Oh my
is.
gosh, it's
Actually.
so is. Did you guys shoot
Yeah.
weddings?
We
shot a
did.
couple.
Not anymore.
Do you guys
I-
find it stressful, or did you eventually find it
Yeah.
easy? Because I eventually
I
found
I
it.
think you answer, then I'll answer.
So I put in
Yeah.
about well over 10,000 hours into shooting video for weddings, and
Wow.
it got to a point where it was just like, oh, cool, I'm gonna hang out with my friends, and we're shooting a wedding.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
totally.
we
There's a level of
definitely-
comfort once you've done it enough.
Yeah.
yeah. But did you shoot photos
Well,
or video?
it depends on the wedding and what they wanted us
Yeah.
to do.
Okay,
We
So
kind
to
of did
give
a
context-
combination of both.
Yeah, we
Well,
only ever shot like 4 weddings.
Okay.
We did
Ah.
not do 10,000 hours worth of weddings.
Okay. Yeah, I
and
started when I was
occasionally-
17. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, man.
I wanted to shoot weddings because I loved all of the bride getting ready with her family, and I loved shooting her getting dressed, and that was really fun for me because it was just so pretty to shoot. Everyone looked
you
great.
like genuinely love it.
I really enjoyed that part. But then we had a few experiences where it was really stressful because, you know, if you don't get it, it's missed, it's gone forever. And then you have Bridezilla coming after you.
Yeah.
So that was
Did you have Bridezilla coming after you?
once.
Once.
What's
But
her name?
Oh, man. I wish I could.
time is now. Revenge.
But no, we did really like it occasionally. I mean, usually we were doing just video and we would shoot it together.
Yep.
And
I find it's a
few-
little less stressful with video because the
little bit.
photographer tends to lead a lot of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, and you have to
Yeah.
organize people in a certain way so that like
Mhm.
it visually looks good. Whereas like as a videographer, you can kind of be a fly on the wall and not
Yeah.
have to create certain types of shots.
Exactly.
Yeah. And occasionally we did both. I would do photos and you would do video, and we would hire someone else. Or occasionally we would hire someone else to do the photos, and then you and I would do video.
Yeah.
It would be like a 3-person team.
But what made you guys decide not to do it anymore?
I think it was more the type of work we wanted to move into,
Mixed
budgets.
with yeah, and we were also like during the week we had all these corporate videos that we were making,
Yeah.
and then most of the time weddings are on weekends, as they naturally are, just because of the nature of it. So we were starting to find that we were working all the time, and we were trying to position ourselves to like really keep our weekends to ourselves and enjoy those as people and as humans, right?
Oh, that's so
And it was,
important.
Right?
I found it really challenging to educate people on the process of making videos or editing photos who have never had any experience with that before. And, having them understand how much work is involved,
Yeah.
and then feeling like you constantly have to justify that and prove it to them that these are really good and they're worth,
Yeah.
this budget.
It's a
Yeah.
consumer market. So
Yeah.
like the people that you're selling these photos to aren't producers
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
filmmakers and
So
Yeah.
they can't always relate to that. So it's harder to sell them on a standard price, or they're always looking for like the cheaper rate because
Yeah.
they think it's just like any other product,
yeah.
even though it's specialized and we have a skill set.
Mhm.
And then there's the other side of it too, where it's a one-time client. So yes, you could get recommendations for another future wedding and so on and so forth, but versus like selling yourself into like a corporate company where you do the selling once and then you just have repeat business every quarter because of budgets and things like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, from a business perspective, we really enjoyed making these corporate and commercial projects. It was moving in that direction. The budgets were sometimes a bit healthier, and a little less stress on the day of. I kind of joked earlier, like the best way to learn videography or photography is shooting weddings because it's such a wide variety. You're
Well,
shooting food.
That's how I
people,
started out, man.
portraits,
It's a great way
everything.
to start. You get good really fast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
We
you're
were doing
thrown
2 or
into
3
it.
a week, you
Yeah,
know, and
and
it
you
was
can
like,
make money at it.
yeah,
So it's a great way to start off your
same
career in that
storyline.
sense. Yep.
You learn to hone in like storytelling abilities.
Yep.
Totally.
Because it's
Yep.
the same script every time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But cool. So we're kind of jumping all over the place, which is that's just how I am. But
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. that's fine.
so how did you guys start working together? Because like I didn't realize that you guys did weddings together too. So
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
been together for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was that point where you guys got into video?
I think when we met in school, we were in the same program.
Yeah, so
we
in
had
Toronto, Canada, there's a university called Ryerson University. There's a program called the Radio and Television Arts Program. Both Lizzie and I were a part of that program.
Cool.
I was
He
a year
was-
ahead of her.
Yep.
And
This was, what year was this?
2012.
yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
cool. So
Nice. Chris was
So-
not going to have an answer to that at all.
so this was like post DSLR revolution. So you had 5D Mark IIs and 7Ds back
Five,
then.
Yeah, 70s for
5D3s
sure.
were the thing.
5D3 was out at
5D3,
2012. Yeah,
and
that's right.
my friend had one. I borrowed hers all the time because I only owned a Canon T3i.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, I basically lived off
Did
of
you
her
guys
camera.
learn off of DSLR video
Yeah.
making?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I
We
think
that's
like
not
most
something
people,
we learned in school for sure.
Were they teaching you on camcorders and like
Yeah.
film
these big
cameras?
massive
Studio.
cameras with like
Yeah.
horrible depth of field.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing stuff on DSLRs and being like, this looks better than this
Yeah.
like $10,000 camera that I'm learning on at
Yep.
school.
Well, and what I wanted to go into more in school, and I knew what the program was made for, was producing. So I went into all of the producing heavy courses. I mean, I did take some practical classes like in studio and audio. You
Yep.
focused a lot on audio production.
For a while, I actually thought I was going to be an audio engineer going into
Yeah.
school,
Ah.
and then it shifted as the marketplace and cameras came out, and I just kind of fell in love with video, and then naturally it was getting more in demand and getting requests to get paid. So I was like, oh, I should do more of this, and then it kind of combined the audio stuff as well. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
back on track.
So we met in 2012, and we
Love at first sight.
love at first. It was hardly that. Actually, we met in 2010.
Yeah.
It was not love at first sight.
No,
But that's a different story.
we'll save that for another video.
We'll save that for another video.
Yeah.
And I think pretty early on we started doing little projects together because I started shooting about when I met you.
Yeah.
I got my first camera, and we would do little projects here and there, mostly music related.
A lot
we
of
liked
music
doing
related
live
things
sessions.
because we both are musicians, and then we would meet other musicians that needed music videos. So then
Yeah.
we would make a lot of music videos or live
Nice.
sessions together.
Yep.
And that's kind of how we cut our teeth in creating content together.
Yep.
And then
By
move
my
ahead.
last year of school, we were doing some really great music videos.
Adobe
together with
Premiere
budgets
or Final
and-
Cut 7?
Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Premiere.
The Final Cut was a very, very short-lived experience for
About
me.
5 minutes,
Yeah,
yeah.
5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then it's always been Adobe.
And then by the time I graduated, I mean, I was freelancing while I was in school, but I graduated and I thought, hey, I need to get a full-time job like everybody else does.
Yeah, and I was
he was
freelancing.
still
Or I was
freelancing,
running
his
running
sole
the company,
proprietor.
sole proprietorship, and
Doing a
just
lot of
trying to make it
corporate.
work and doing random corporate or weddings. Just kind of saying yes to everything at that
Yeah.
point.
I can
Yeah,
relate.
so you
Yeah.
were. It's funny because you were doing corporate work mainly as well, and
Yeah.
then I was also doing corporate work. It was the production company that was their focus. So I was working on projects for you guys probably don't know, we're in America, Canadian Tire,
Yeah.
Panasonic,
Canadian Tire.
Canadian Tire.
I've heard of Panasonic.
Yeah.
Heard of Panasonic once or twice. So yeah, things like that I was working on, and it was great for me because I got to see how a smaller production company ran.
Yeah, like a team
and-
of like what, 6 people, 6 or 8 people,
yeah, there
Yeah.
were
Like
6 to 8 of us.
freelancers, and a big network of
So you're
different.
like
Yeah.
PAing and just kind of assisting.
Yeah, I started out. I was
camera.
a PC, and then by the time I left, I was a junior
Mac?
producer.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. And it was great for me because I got a lot of that experience working
Nice.
with those higher end clients, what they wanted to see, what their expectations
important.
were.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
the client experience was like,
Can
something
learn-
that I
And I
never
was-
really.
You learn more
brought
there
into
than
I was
in
working
school,
with
right?
editors,
100%.
and it was very hands-on, and
Yeah.
so that was a great learning process for me. But I quickly learned there that I was not going to be able to have the creative control that I wanted.
Yeah.
And
Because there's always going to be an owner of that company who had
Yeah.
final
Sure.
say.
so
you're
and it
starting
was
out,
pleasing
so-
him. Yeah, so I was starting out.
So she worked there for a year. She learned a ton.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years, sorry. And my company at the time was kind of in a position where like I couldn't handle the amount of growth that was happening, and I kind of had brought in like a mentor at the time who was trying to help like scale it and grow it. And because of this like weird moment where I had this mentor that didn't ultimately work out in the long run, you know, he had helped build the confidence in me to be like, you should hire on Lizzie full time. See what this is like. You should start working together.
Because
You guys
we were
were
still
dating?
doing little
Yeah.
side projects
Yeah.
here and there, and then I was giving him advice saying, well, you shouldn't have done this, you should have done this, you could have been able to take
Oh,
on
wow.
that.
I was like, that's brilliant. You should,
And
yes,
he's like,
tell
yeah,
me
I
more.
should have. He's like, but I can't do this. So I did leave that job. We started working together. It was pretty terrifying because actually right after I left, I got a job offer from another production company that was more commercial work. And then
And like a company she like admired.
that
and
I
was stoked
admired
for.
and I would have loved to work for. And so I was so torn, wanting to throw up every day going, am I making the right decision?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were like, at that point in our lives, we were the business was like in a financial point where like it literally could only support Lizzie and I, and it was like very scary to like,
Yeah.
it was just like
Yeah, it's
enough
risky.
to get by, and I was like, okay, let's do this, and then honestly, I don't
So
know
I
what
said
it.
no to that other job offer.
Yeah, she said no to that.
And then with the mentor we had, we soon realized that he was just kind of a hype guy. He was all talk and didn't really have a lot of foundation underneath it. So
Yeah.
weaseling
Like
him out of the situation.
promising jobs that never really came to fruition. So
I've experienced that too.
Yeah.
so we phased him kind of like out of our working relationship, and then it was Lizzie and I making all the final decisions at that point. And I don't know what happened, but literally within like the first couple of months, all these like job opportunities came in, and
we got all of them.
We got all of them. We knocked them all out of the park.
Do you call that luck?
No.
I don't know. It was definitely hard work. I think just we were ready for all the opportunities, and it's hard to say that if they were already there, but because
No, I think we were just we knew exactly how to approach them and what to do now.
yeah, so we went from
So-
like landing like 40 or 50% of jobs when I was just on my own to like landing almost 100% with Lizzie.
Nice.
And
The
with
first that
her,
year we did really well.
we did really well that year. It continued to grow, and then and we've been working together ever since. And then now we're in a place where we have our social media channels, and that's kind of like the new scope of the business is where we do like we have the agency do commercial corporate work still, and then we also have our social media channels, which also brings in a lot of different opportunities and work as well.
That's amazing. And you guys have each other to take pictures of each other, to film each other.
Yeah,
Totally.
Very happy about that.
Thumbnails.
Yeah, and
upload.
be comfortable and have a working
really smart.
understanding of like how we both work and what we both need to get things done efficiently. You know, it's not always easy, but it's great doing it together.
Well, we say a lot of the time to each other, if one of us was doing this and the other one wasn't, I don't know if this would work, because it's just you need to understand how.
Well, it's
how it
very
operates.
complex, and you know,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
we're here on a Saturday doing a podcast together. If if one of us wasn't in this space, it'd be hard to justify.
It is, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go
Yeah.
take 3 hours out of a morning when we're technically on vacation to go
Well,
in.
what would one of us have even come if the
Yeah.
other one was working?
Yeah,
Also, the other one
exactly.
might have just been at home, and or the other one would just be sitting back at the Airbnb
Yeah.
doing nothing.
Well, I mean, I am that guy. My wife doesn't do this, and she doesn't really have any desire to do it. And I just have to be really strict on my schedule. I have to be disciplined on like being home on time and setting aside vacation time. And
Well, and with us, the biggest problem we have is having to stop talking about work.
Yeah, I would
When
say
we
that's
get
probably the
to
biggest thing.
dinner time, and Chris is like, so I have an idea for this video, or
Yeah.
let's talk about
What's your passion,
this
though?
project or this thing, and I'll get into it, and then I realize, oh, it's 9:00. We should probably, just be people.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a challenge for us still, but usually one of us will just say we just need to. We'll remember to talk about this tomorrow. We'll write it down, and that's it. We have to stop talking about it because it's not healthy. Otherwise, you feel like you're just working constantly, and you have no time to refresh yourself.
So, or have outside influence that can also help you on the business side or life side.
Yeah.
Also, just being able to like relate to other people and those kind of things. So we're very
It's about
balance and just try to like bring a lot more life into our busy lives as working.
It's okay to kind of pause, think long term, and say, I'm going to be doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
So
totally.
like, let's just take the weekend off and chill,
Yeah.
and-
Well, I'll say to Chris sometimes, I'm still 20 something.
Yeah.
And I have my whole life to work, and it's not that I don't want to, I love working.
knock on wood.
Yeah.
You should have my whole life to work. And it's not that I mean, I love working. It's just I want to make sure that I'm checking everything off my list that I wanted to do, and I don't want to compromise.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
mean, life has a lot of amazing things to offer, and I think as people who are passionate about this, it's very easy to let it just constantly take over your life, because it's fun and it's enjoyable and we care about it, as well as having both an agency that we put a lot of time into and social media that we put a lot of time into. It's a lot of stuff that we have on our plate. So naturally it would take up a lot of our time.
Well, like just a couple days ago, I just like went, it was probably midnight, and I just went outside, didn't have a podcast on. I just kind of like looked up at the stars, and it was silent. Nobody was out.
Isn't that wonderful?
And it was just like,
You're like, wow.
I was thinking to myself, man, I'm so blessed. I have a beautiful wife. I have a son. We live in California. I have a job that I love. Like, thank you, God. This is amazing. I think it's important to kind of just chill, meditate, think. Like a long time ago, people like were creative in those moments, and I used to be like that. I think that because I'm on social media all the time from work, like the creativity can sometimes get kind of suppressed with posting schedules.
100%.
Totally.
But like when you stop and just think to yourself, you come up with ideas that are like great,
I say that
creative
all the time.
ideas.
And it's statistically proven that when you're doing, little random tasks throughout the day, like laundry, or you're just sitting and
in a bit
meditating,
more of a passive state.
And just letting yourself reflect for a moment about what you really want to do, that's when you come up with those ideas.
That's why you always get it in the shower or at 2 o'clock when you're laying in bed.
Well, we went to the spa. Which one? Scandinave?
Yeah, it's like a Ontario.
It's in
spa.
Ontario,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
it has those like heated pools outside and everything. We went
I've
with a
been
couple
there.
friends of ours,
I've never been there.
and well, they're great. I'll tell you right now, they're great.
Yeah.
And we wanted it to be a completely relaxing day. We didn't want to work at all. And of course, when we're in the steam room, that's when I get like 3 really good ideas for videos. And I was like, sweet, I'm going to do those.
Yeah.
So if you don't give yourself that time just to relax, I think then, you get caught up in doing things.
Yeah.
And you don't have those opportunities to be creative, to let your mind open up and make room for those good ideas.
Well, the relaxation times are just as important as the working times.
It's
right?
true.
I think they're equally in weight in terms of how much value they bring. Is another big part too is just when you're driving, having sensory input usually can create a lot of triggers, which also create new ideas. I can't remember which big director it was, but he always said that he left like a voice note in his car so that when he was driving, I think it was Spielberg, and I think he talked about like how he came up with E.T. while he was driving.
Wow.
Just because it like something got triggered while he was going through it. So even just creating those opportunities, just summing up what we were talking about there, give yourself time to relax or just be in a passive state is really important.
I think that's when a lot of people, if you don't leave opportunities to do that, I think that's when you let other influences kind of seep in, and you end up not liking what you're doing or not liking the work that you're creating, because you're thinking too much about what other people want you to do and less about what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
A fun hack. I process things like by speaking. I'm just a talker, and like a fun hack. Oh, nice. A fun hack is if you use the voice memos app on your phone, you can actually hold it up to your face like you're talking on the phone. Yeah. And it will shut off the screen and everything, and it will continue to record. So like I'll walk around in circles in my apartment complex like I'm on the phone, but I'm just talking to myself like a script or like a concept. And
awesome.
it's for some reason it like the people don't think I'm weird because it looks like I'm on the phone. Yeah. I'm not just like talking to myself, Yeah. Otherwise it'd be a creep, Yeah. Although I could just go over to Santa Monica and I'd blend right in. So I'm going to break up these next little talking bits into 2 sections. We have Instagram and YouTube. So photo, I guess you could just call photography. Yep. And video. Yep. Let's start with YouTube because it's really what my passion is. Yeah. I was also a freelance filmmaker, director, DP in Nashville for years. Lots of music videos. Yeah. Like I said, weddings.
I bet in Nashville.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Seriously, like some of my best friends are incredible, and a lot of them have done really well.
So much talent there. Man.
Yeah, I mean it's Hollywood for music, So I would do pro bono videos, for my buddies, and then those videos get hundreds of thousands of views because they're incredible musicians. Yeah, I did not ever think about YouTube as like a thing until Casey Neistat started vlogging. That's really when it clicked for me. I was like, he's a quadruple threat: performer, editor, director. I was actually a magician for 6 years.
Nice.
And I met Peter.
Why are all YouTubers magicians?
Dude, I seriously cannot wait to interview Peter because I met him at Magic Live 6 years ago.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's kind of
That's
ironic,
amazing.
isn't it?
I love that. Why are all our friends
I don't know.
magicians?
I think
For me, that's when it clicked like 2-3 years ago, and I just like started doing YouTube. What was that kind of moment for you guys? Like when you were obviously a freelance filmmaker, you might have been wanting to pursue. I wanted to pursue Hollywood style, like go up the system. I was meeting with producers, like trying to climb the ladder,
the traditional route.
But like just 2-3 years ago, when Casey started doing his stuff, I was like, wait a minute, there's a whole nother opportunity here.
Yeah.
I can riff on this for a second.
You started first, so you have to start.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can relate. Casey was a huge inspiration. I remember watching him, Ben Brown, very religiously. Like every morning, it would be like my inspiration to like start my day. Like I would look forward to 8 a.m. when Casey released a video, watch it in bed, and then just like jump out of bed and be stoked.
There's a lesson in consistency, by the way.
Oh yeah, 100%. Right. I like needed it at the time because we were doing corporate and commercial. I loved it, but again, I think like for me, I knew that there was some other stuff that I really wanted to be doing. So it was specifically Ben Brown's Canada video that I had watched, and I got really inspired by it. It was just like a short film, like 6 minutes long, used this incredible music track and just kind of showcased this like travel experience that he had while he was in like Banff, Canada. And I got like hyped on it. So the next day I bought like a couple of different lenses. My family and
Is
I.
it this one, by the way?
It might be the Canada Visual Vibes. Ben, if you are watching this, huge inspiration, him and Casey. So this was like a couple years ago.
This was 2014.
2014. Yep. I wanted to start filming our family trips. So my family and I went on a trip to Arizona. I filmed that video. And it was interesting because at the time, I remember I made that video and it got like 200 views. And I was trying to create all this like viral content as a musician because to give some more context, I was trying to pursue a life as a professional musician. I would make these music videos.
Cool.
I would try to promote them. I made one video where I surfed, played guitar, and sang at the same time.
That's awesome.
I got featured on like Good Morning America. So like
we did like 4 different versions of it.
Yeah, so many different
summer.
things. So it was interesting because I went from like trying to create this like music and viral content to like, okay, I want to create travel content. And those videos would get like a few 100,000 views. And then I made a video that got like 200 views. And it was funny because all the comments on like that viral video were just like whatever. They didn't really mean anything. And I remember that travel video that I made in Arizona was like the comments I got from it were way more meaningful. And I was like, I felt better about that video that got less views than I did about the videos that got a ton of views. So I was like, all right, I want to do more of this. So I filmed my next trip when I went to Ireland, and I remember I emailed the Ireland tourism board. I already bought my flight to go there, and I was like, hey, here's this other video that I did for Arizona. I didn't do it for Arizona, but I kind of positioned it being like, look, I made this while I was in Arizona. And they were like, okay, here's a letter you can present to like any of the places that when you're in Ireland, hopefully our partners will be able to help you out. So I got this letter from the Ireland tourism board, and I went to the Guinness factory and I said, hey, I have this Ireland tourism board. No, what can you do for us? And they're like, we'll give you a free tour of the Guinness factory. And I was like,
nice.
A free tour of the Guinness factory? And it's like $20 to do it or something like that. But I was like, oh, there's value in this.
Yeah.
So I made that video. That video got 5 times as many views as the first one. Again, just as many meaningful comments. So I was like, what's the next one I should do? And someone said you should just do it of your hometown. So I did it of Toronto. And for whatever reason, I sent that email off to like a different press outlet in Toronto, and it went viral in Toronto and got a few 100,000 views. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, oh, I really love this. There's value in it. I want to start making more of this. So moving forward, again, I knew people were doing YouTube. I just was like, oh, Facebook video might be the thing.
Was this, 2014?
It's probably like 2015, 2016 kind of thing. Yeah.
Pre-Casey Neistat daily vlogs?
Yeah, around that time, a little bit. So I was watching it, but I was like, oh, maybe everybody's already on YouTube. Maybe like it's already saturated.
Seriously, I felt that 2 years ago too.
Yeah,
I was like, it's
and
already
I don't think you were
saturated.
doing that stuff with the intention of ever like building a following on YouTube. You just wanted to create some content to leverage some travel-based work.
Yeah.
Which is what our intention was.
Totally. And to get more opportunities to travel, and having even a small audience even on Facebook, helps creating those opportunities to get those more. So anyways, again, moving forward, we ended up getting like our first big trip that was covered by like the Azores Tourism Board. And I remember just at that time being like, I want to do more of this. So then put more focus into trying to create content and viral content on Facebook, kind of created like a bit of a recipe that really worked there. Made a bunch of viral videos, started building an audience, I think of like 15,000 on Facebook. And I thought Facebook video was going to be like the next big thing. So that's why I put a bunch of time into it.
Gotcha.
And then move ahead just a couple of years. I ended up rekindling my friendship with Peter McKinnon because we used to shoot weddings back in the day and kind of connected over those kind of things. And I remember he told me, he's like, it was a bit more. Was he
started already? Or?
He was already started. He had like a few 100,000 subscribers at this point. And I remember we were sitting and having chicken wings. And he was just like, dude, you're cut out for this. You should stop doing Facebook video, start YouTube tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I remember that's very pinnacle chicken wings in my life.
We still eat chicken wings.
We still eat chicken wings together with Peter all the time. That was a big moment when I started putting full time into YouTube. Not full time, but like a lot more time into it, and shifted all
Creative
my energy that was kind of going into this Facebook.
You were still freelancing
outlet.
To pay the bills, right?
100%. And and then now it's at where it is now, thanks to a bit of a push. Like I always wanted it, and I always wanted to do things like that. But it was just a bit of like a perspective change from a friend that I could relate to that really helped kind of steer me in the direction that I wanted to.
He gave you some good advice, and he was helpful, very encouraging.
Yeah, and supportive.
Without that, I don't know if you would have started.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I'm very vocal, especially even to Peter, and how grateful I am for that moment and that push.
Yeah.
As well as just his friendship in general.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then from there, was doing it. I think you got excited about it. You can speak to this. I don't have to speak on your behalf.
I'm naturally a very competitive person. We'll just start with that. Chris is like, oh, man. And so I saw Chris started his YouTube channel. Well, I'm being honest.
You know he has more subs than you, right?
I know. Yeah. I'm working on that.
The competition.
The competition is real.
Instagram, I don't know. Is it similar?
He has more.
Okay.
No, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He started a few months before I did. He started in like the fall, and I started in like January.
Yeah, I started like around October.
And so I saw what he was doing. I was like, well, this looks fun. And then I started watching more YouTube and kind of seeing what the whole environment was all about. That's
really valuable. I wasn't really watching YouTube before Casey anyways.
I wasn't really. I mean, videos live on YouTube, but I wasn't watching YouTube how I watch YouTube now.
I consume it all day.
It's like our favorite platform, like that, and then just like high quality Netflix.
At a certain point, because I'll stay on YouTube way longer than I even watch Netflix now. But anyways,
sorry.
So I lost my train.
So you were learning about YouTube, watching it,
saw there
watching
weren't
Chris.
Many females in that realm, and I was
like, Lord, we need more.
Yeah, what the 100%. Heck is going on here?
If there is a female watching, 100% consider doing it. We need more representation.
Do what Peter said and do it tomorrow.
Do it tomorrow. We'll buy you chicken wings.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of just like, well, I think someone needs to be doing this. I guess I could. It was very much like that. It wasn't like I'm trying to be the best or I'm trying to get, tons of subscribers and I thought, this is a place I could put up some of the projects that I wanted to do that I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really thinking about it, in any other way than that. And I thought, who knows how many subscribers I'm going to get. But if any person watches my stuff and thinks, now I want to start my own business, or now I want to go and do that next project, or I want to go out and buy my first camera, then and especially if that's a girl, then I'll consider it a success. So that was my mentality when I started. And then meeting some of the people within this YouTube community, like if I could name a few, Becky and Chris. I love Becky and I are really good friends now, despite our long distance relationship.
Yeah, you and Tola Visuals, Kitty.
And Kitty, I just went to visit her in November, and
cool. I'm good friends with her. I
slept on her couch for a weekend.
Her and her boyfriend
it was
are awesome.
Oh my gosh, they cooked me the most delicious vegan food I've ever had in my life. And it was meeting people like that kind of solidified it for me. And everyone's so supportive and encouraging. You get to do videos together and learn from each other. And then I was just kind of like, this is for me. And then connecting with everyone online.
And some of the most it's YouTube has provided a great outlet for creativity and other financial opportunities. But again, I think one of the best things that's come from it is like the friendships.
Yeah.
You know, I think
I wouldn't have kept doing it if it
Well,
weren't
like
for the
I can
people.
relate to you guys on such a level that
Yeah.
I can't relate to with people that are in my life that I've known for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of struggles with it.
Totally. And it's
And-
hard to communicate those struggles to
Mhm.
people because not everyone always understand it.
Yeah.
And
They're
a lot
like,
of times
you do
I'm like,
what?
yeah.
Yeah.
What, you make money?
Yeah.
How do you make money with
Yeah.
that?
Why are you
Oh my
stressed
gosh,
out about a
that
schedule?
question.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's why I keep doing it, is just because, you know, at the end of the day, we can all make good work and work that we like and work hard and make money. But if we're not helping someone else, you know, in our lifetime, then what the heck are we doing this
Yeah.
for? And
Yeah.
so that's why I love YouTube. And
Yeah.
now we're working on this course, and I'm really excited about that. And we actually get
Yeah.
to meet some of these people that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that are watching our videos and that like
Yeah.
our content, and
The
help
people
teach them
behind
the
every
next
single
steps. And
number are real humans, and
Yeah.
you know it's
Yeah.
not always easy to remember that, but it's crazy that we can create content and have YouTube as a vehicle to distribute it, and that it actually lands and makes an impact. Like the fact that I can go through my Instagram DMs and see that people's lives are changing. Like one guy messaged me that after a couple of the videos, like he's actually been able to make a living off of photography because
Wow.
of a lot of the insight that
Yeah.
Lizzie and I
And by no means are we, you know, doing, and it's the same with you, are we doing this because we think we're the best at, you know, video photography? And I don't think I am.
no.
But it just takes anyone to step up and say, you know, here's some of the information I know that you can take and grow your business.
Yeah.
Or,
So YouTube happened for both of you guys around the same time then, or were you a little
I was like
after? Or?
Probably like
5 or 6 months after.
yeah.
Cool. And how consistent do you guys stay with your YouTube schedule? Are you really strict on it? Do you kind of just do like a couple a week,
I
one a
would give
week?
myself a B+.
Yeah. Well, what was your social
Yeah.
blade give you?
I think
Where is
I
I think I'm a B.
Yeah, like a B minus.
Yeah.
Been like
B
a B minus
minus.
for a while.
I'm
Yeah.
a B-. Yeah, and I think we try our best, but we're trying to develop our company in a way
Yeah.
that we can outsource some of that work, and it's hard right now managing
Do
both.
you guys shoot, edit your own stuff?
We used to.
Yeah.
Now we have a couple of different people
Yeah.
on our team that can really help put those projects together, and we can oversee
Nice.
them from like a creative perspective and managing it from a business
We
perspective.
still need a couple more people, so it's not completely hands
So
off.
you're not editing your videos anymore on
Some-
YouTube, or
Oh, we know
YouTube,
for
yes.
YouTube, it's everything, start to finish. The
Everything.
business is a bit more
The
of like a
business,
structure.
we do
Gotcha.
have some editors, but again, they're freelance as well.
For-
So when they're not available
for your
for our company,
okay,
Yeah.
for your freelance kind of corporate
Yeah.
gigs and stuff for
called
commercials.
Know
Yeah.
How Media.
Know How Media, which is the
Know How.
pun off of my last
His
name.
last
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys shoot on Sony cameras.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want like it's funny people are like you're a Sony fanboy. It's like I like the Sony cameras.
They do things that other ones can't do.
Exactly. I'm not impartial to any camera in particular. I love all the brands.
me
I think
neither.
a lot of companies are doing great things right now. I just happen to have a friend who has given me the chance to like play with certain Sony cameras a lot. That just made me fall in love with it.
Yeah.
I got to play with the A7S a couple years ago. I had a Canon 7D. And then she was like, hey, do you want to just like play with the A7S for the weekend? And I was like, sure. And then I was like, this thing can see better in the dark than I can.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. yeah.
So I ended up buying an A7S, and then from there, once you start investing in glass,
Yeah.
it's really hard to go back to anything else.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was a Canon user. I had a 5D3.
Yeah.
The good old days, and I loved it, and I do still miss my Canon. But when I started YouTube and I was shooting more video myself, then I naturally had to make the switch. And in a perfect world, I would have both.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would love like Canon for your photos,
Yep.
and then Sony for your video.
Basically, what Becky and Chris do.
Yeah,
I would
Yeah.
love
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something about the colors and
Yeah, it just
mojo.
looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
It has a look.
the Sony, the video specs are just great. It's
Yeah.
like a freaking technology marvel. The
No,
things that
it's
they're able to
amazing.
Yeah.
cram in there.
Like I shoot with the A9, and like I actually like absolutely love that camera, and even on the video.
It's so
side,
bizarre.
too.
You're the only person I've ever met that shoots on the A9 for
Yeah.
video.
It's literally the only reason is because I got like the craziest discount on the camera. Like I literally got almost more than half off of it, and it was brand new.
Yeah.
So I bought it because of that, and then I was like, I actually really love this camera. It's
Oh, yeah.
basically a 1DX,
Yeah.
right? with even more features packed into it. So I was like, I'm just going to continue doing this because I was shooting with an A7S II, and the autofocus on that was just like a potato. Like, it was just horrible. So like I would be like, what's up, guys? And then like 30 seconds into vlogging, it would finally find my face. So I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it's like contrast to text.
Yeah. So I bought it literally because of the autofocus, and then I kind of fell in love with the camera. And then I'm still finding out things about it that it can do that I'm like, whoa.
Well, the A9, not the A7 III or the A7R III, is getting the new firmware that gives you the autofocusing tracking from the A6400, which I don't know if you've played with that camera yet.
No.
But it's better than dual pixel autofocus. Like, Sony has finally surpassed the speed and reliability of it. We did some testing with Canon versus the A6400. And it's literally like insane.
Amazing.
Man. So no one can say bad things about Sony anymore for their focusing.
Totally.
Right? That was kind of a thing of like for a while. And not anymore.
And if they start adding flip screens, then it'll be literally nothing else I do think the IBIS could get better. I think that other cameras like the Nikon, we have a Z6, we shoot on the Z6 right now. The stabilization's really, cool. Really good. Well, it's about to do 4K ProRes RAW out, so like so awesome. Sony's got to do 10-bit, they have to. So but whatever. I could talk about gear like all day long. So because I find myself like, I love story and all that, and that's really important, but my story is gear. So like, build a story around gear, just like the show Top Gear. Like the topic was cars, but it was entertaining.
Right.
So we can do that on YouTube. Infotainment, exactly. It's still entertainment first, but then gear and stuff. So moving on to photography / Instagram, or if this is listened to in the future and Instagram is gone, which it won't be, but
I don't think so. No. I heard a comment one time that as long as humans have eyes, photos will always be relevant. I think the mediums that we have now, where everyone's on their phone, whether it's Instagram, there will be some other photo platform. I just think that Instagram's brand is so
it's Facebook, so
it's not
going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. It's too big of a media company with too many smart people behind it and too many strategic meetings and money and everything for that to go anywhere anytime soon. So I still, if anyone is out there looking to want to do Instagram or YouTube, those are such big media beasts that there's still room for you.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
So you guys are both on Instagram. You're very active. I would consider you guys Instagrammers or whatever you want to call it. Man. And just tell me about that process. Like, when did you guys start taking it seriously? What is some of the strategies that you have there? Do you find that you have a more intimate connection with your audience there versus YouTube?
Instagram was where we started off. And we definitely wanted to make sure that we were, initially it was just a fun thing. And then a couple of years into it, we were like, oh, we were seeing other people take this seriously. We take great photos. Why don't we post, our nicest photos? But I'm not sure that we necessarily developed a niche yet, or we were really trying to develop a brand or an identity yet. It was still very much our nicest photos we were taking.
YouTube.
Yes.
So pre-YouTube, going back to that storyline I was kind of talking there about, like, wanting to take Facebook seriously, I was taking Instagram seriously. As seriously too. Lizzie and I had grown our accounts, nothing like too big, but like, a few thousand people, and we were really proud of that. And I was proud of the content that I was putting out. And for me, I went through a stage when, like, I released that first, like, Arizona video, just going back to the story we were talking there, where I really just wanted to get better as a photographer. I love video. Video is great, but I think I really love, like, photography. Photography. I say photography.
This is
photography. I get so much.
It's like Chris Burgard.
But it was an opportunity that I could really hone my craft and just get better at the skill set. So that's why I really loved Instagram, and that's why I think both of us took it pretty seriously, even up to like 3 years ago.
That's interesting, because you guys both went to film school.
I had a lot of confusion, I think, when I was trying to take my account seriously, and I didn't, because I don't know, a lot of girls on Instagram are doing the whole travel, I don't know. It wasn't what my account is now.
No, you went through a couple different phases.
And I didn't really know what to do. And because I think I was trying to be everybody else. and that was a mistake.
Yeah, and then
So
it was like a year ago where you really were like, this is my style, this is who I am, I want to be authentically me.
Yeah.
And then it was awesome to watch her, like, literally her account explode.
It was really frustrating, and
yeah.
it still is kind of frustrating because I'll see a dramatic difference in the photos. People love photos of me, and not so much necessarily the photos that I'm taking of whatever else, whether it's landscapes or whatever. And I think it's just because they want to see me, and that's fine. But I struggled a lot with, okay, so am I supposed to be posting just photos of myself then? But I don't like the way my feed looks, and I don't like that, and that's not what I want to be doing.
That's
and
what
then,
a model does.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what people expect a little bit of women, to post that kind of content.
Yeah, so again, you wanted to be a bit of like a...
I wanted to be myself.
You want to be yourself.
So I just kind of said screw it and started posting whatever I wanted to in the photos that I liked. And now I'm a lot happier with where it's at. And it grew because of that.
Yeah, I think
but it's hard telling yourself just to do what you want.
Yeah.
And, you know, forget the rest.
Burkhard actually said this in our interview. He said people don't realize there's 3 types of people on Instagram. There's like professional working photographers who are just sharing their work.
Yeah.
Influencers who are selling products, and models.
Yeah.
So you have to decide what are you of those 3 things.
Yeah.
It sounds like you decided that you wanted to be a photographer.
Yeah. And
showing your work rather than a model,
yeah.
which is what you were probably conflicted with.
Yeah. That's a lot of what I was seeing of people who looked like me. And not that I have, you know, anything against that. And I think it's great, but it never felt like me. And so that was the first hurdle I went through. And now I'm going through another hurdle where I have trouble posting frequently, I think, because I'm comparing my own photos to everyone else's so harshly, and I'm the hardest on myself right now.
Well, you follow and you've met a lot of really inspiring people who've been doing it for a very long time. Yeah. You know, I can relate to that too. Like when I was a musician, I would hold myself to the standard of people like Ed Sheeran and Macklemore. When I wasn't as good as them, I was lesser than them, and I would beat myself up around it. So I think.
But if I showed my account now to myself 2 years ago, I would have felt the same way. I would have said, "Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough." Yeah. And it's so funny that we do that to ourselves in our own heads. And so now I've just kind of decided, if I like this photo when I'm taking it, it's going up no matter what. Yeah. And you give yourself that ultimatum and you do it anyways.
It's a part of the process.
Yeah. Ripping off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Yeah. I just, again, because I'm sort of new to, like, when I was on Instagram, stories wasn't there. Like, you know, I wasn't thinking about algorithm and like I should do everything in a 4x5 rather than square or whatever. So like, what is that process for you guys? Do you think about that, or you just kind of, is it more of a personal thing for both of you? Do you have a system there? I think we take treating it like a job, or
100%. We definitely take it seriously in terms of
scheduling, posting, tags, all that.
Yeah, we do all of those things, but as far as the photo itself, I mean, we try to keep it on brand and all of that kind of stuff, but we want them to still feel like us, and we want them to be good. If it doesn't have those 2 things, it's not going up.
Well, the great thing about stories is you can be more like raw there, and like just you guys goofing off at the beach or whatever.
Like
it doesn't have to be a perfect picture.
Whereas everything else is very curated. Like we take our grids very seriously. So from my perspective, I kind of have two sides to it. Like, I treat Instagram like a business, but it's also a platform for me to share my creativity. So my photos, I don't take them because I think they'll do well on Instagram. I take them because I love those photos. There's probably a bit of influence because I think they'll.
It's hard not to let that influence seep in, even
I think
underneath it all.
Is it just at Chris Howe, by the way?
Yeah, I think the one influence that's very evident that I'm actually trying to be more conscious of is that I actually almost only shoot vertical photos now when I'm like on trips, and
we forget to shoot horizontal.
Yeah,
and it often does look better horizontal. It's just that's not what Instagram prefers. It's not how we view that content. So we would never post really a horizontal photo. on Instagram.
Unless you do like
Ever.
a swipe through now, but
Yeah,
we're trying to be more conscious of it. I think, both Lizzie and I take a perspective of keeping business in mind, but also really like highlighting the things that we love as being a photographer. So I think the content is very much like a passion driven area, but it's very much wrapped and delivered in a business mindset. If you want things to be successful and be seen by a lot of people, I think it's important to keep certain strategies in mind. So that comes down to finding the right hashtags, tagging the right feature accounts, posting at the right times. If you're not
having
doing
a caption that people will want to engage with, because that is the most important thing.
You can still authentically be you. You just have to be strategic. Rather than just being like, here's my photo emojis.
You're still going, here's what I want to say. It's just wrapped up in a way that people will want to engage with it.
It's like packaging. Like I think
it's
we can so here, I'll tie this into PolarPro. One of the things that I really admire, I think you guys have a fantastic product, but you guys do the best job at packaging out of anybody in the world.
Presentation.
That makes it feel, expensive and good quality, a high, amazing product. So yes, you have the thing that's inside the box,
they say
but the way it's delivered. You were gonna say.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say they say that they want you to feel bad when you throw it away.
Yeah, and 100% I do. I'm like,
do.
oh no, the textures and the way it feels.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the shine off of the product just on like the front of the product.
Yeah.
So I think all those things, if you want to create an analogy, it's the same thing with Instagram. Make sure you package it in a way that it gets delivered to the right audience, gets seen by as many people as possible, but you can still authentically be you in your product.
Exactly. And I think a big mistake a lot of people make is they look at Kim Kardashian or like celebrities, or even on YouTube. Like if somebody's starting out and they see Peter McKinnon, they're like titling and thumbnailing just like him. But like he's got 2 million. Is it 3 million? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I think it's like
3.2.
Yeah, so like, and Kim Kardashian's a celebrity, so like anything they post will get millions of views, millions of likes. Anything Peter posts will get upwards of 100 to 200, 300, 400,000.
There's a hardcore baseline audience that will drive the algorithm there.
And when you're starting out, and honestly, I would argue that if Kim Kardashian and Peter and Casey actually did do all the right things, which I know some of them are, like it just will continue to make it better. But sometimes, Kim Kardashian can post a crappy photo with no title and no description, and it still gets tons of views.
Totally.
Because she's famous.
Because she's famous, but that's the thing.
So don't compare yourself to that.
No.
Yeah, we were not. So we have we have to do things the right way in order to have, our work and our products, be able to
we
be
still
seen.
do it even now when we have a bit of a bigger audience. We still want to get seen to a new audience. Getting seen by us. One new person could mean that you have a fan for life. That one person could end up, liking every single photo. They take in all your content, whatever it ends up being. You build a relationship with them through the internet. I think the thing that you forget at the end of the day is that one new follower can mean a big difference in your life, right?
So like, when some people might hear what you're saying and get the wrong idea of why you're doing Instagram, like, he just wants a bunch of likes. And I know that's not true. So
no,
tell me,
not.
What is the actual like thesis and like purpose for what both of you guys are actually doing? What is the reason for all this?
Do you want to start, or I can kind of like...
You can start.
For me, one of the big things that we've been trying to brand is I love having the connection and having the chance to like actually talk with these people that I can't actually go to that location directly. So having the chance to chat with somebody in another country, or being able to know that that photo can inspire them to start. When I would watch Casey's content, it inspired me to want to go out and do things. So I think I want to also be a vehicle to promote what I really love. Tell the stories that I really care about, and promote the whatever products or brands that we really want to work with. Ultimately, so that the end goal is that any creative that is watching this is either inspired or motivated to either pick up a camera, start a business, make money with whatever they love doing in life. That is fundamental in all things that we're trying to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're both on the same page there. It's just we're being the vehicle, and the people saying, hey, look, you can look at what we're doing and see that as an example and go ahead and do it yourself.
And no pressure, but I think you have a big responsibility as a female creator too. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I said in my, I think it's actually my trailer on YouTube.
It's so good. Please go and watch it. It like literally made me cry the first time I watched it. But like in a cool, like inspiring way.
But you didn't cry when you cried when you proposed to.
100%.
You did. Yeah.
I did not cry.
No. You're crying.
I'm crying.
I just want people to think, I can do it because she is doing it. And it kind of goes both ways, where we wouldn't be able to live the lifestyle that we are now without social media. So we want to share that at the same time that we've been able to build our own business, build our careers, through that.
That it is possible.
It is possible. And it just, takes some of the things that we mentioned in our videos to do that. So.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to women like you who are interested in a male dominant field? Like, what are some encouraging things and inspiring things you could tell them right now if they're listening?
Do it anyways.
What do you mean by that? Elaborate. Do you think culture tells you not to do it? Is that why you say that?
I think culture does tell you not to do it. I think that it's not a first option that you're presented. I think that there's a lot of subtleties that you're faced growing up, even as a young girl, of people telling you need to fit in this box, you need to be nice, you need to do these kinds of things. Maybe this is something for you, maybe that's not something for you. And it's even how conversation is directed towards like Chris versus me. If we were dating, people ask him, how's business, Chris? We work together.
Yeah.
So
it's very subtle, but it's there.
And it's noticed. And I think you need to acknowledge those things and be ready to answer that question, even though it wasn't directed to you. So it's I'll throw a lot back at Lizzie if people ask me certain questions and being like, how's business? I was like, yeah, Lizzie, do you want to answer that? And like he notices it now too. And
because you're actually involved in the
it's half and half
scheduling, production.
Yeah, so
and like it's half and half. Yeah.
Those things are going to happen. It's just that you have to not let them matter.
Yeah.
And prove them otherwise.
Yeah.
And that's
build
like
a new
I said,
standard, right?
I'm competitive, and sometimes I'll use like those little opportunities as motivation to kind of say, well, then I have to prove them wrong, or then I have to do more.
And you have an opportunity to educate people who might be, innocently ignorant about like, well, my whole life in this circumstance, usually the man is the one who owns the business, so I'm just used to that.
And that is
we need to educate
how it
people
is.
to not be biased and not to like be judgmental.
And it's hard because we're in this time that things are shifting that way. And I also don't think there's any problem. Like the whole beauty industry on YouTube is huge, and there's no problem with that. I think it's amazing. I probably could have done that and maybe been really successful at that too, maybe more than I am in this field, but this is what I love to do, and I just want to show other girls that it's an option. That's really what it is at the end of the day. It's not saying don't do anything feminine, do this instead because people have told you to do that and now you shouldn't, you need to do this. It's just this is an opportunity that maybe you didn't know was available to you, and you can still do it. That's really what it is to me.
I think just to bring up a really cool story recently, we were out for dinner, and Lizzie sat down first. I like parked the car, and when I came in,
it was my mom's birthday.
It was her mom's birthday, and when I sat down, the person who was serving us drinks was like, "Okay, it's confirmed." And she's like, "You're Chris, you're Lizzie," and she's like, and she pointed directly at Lizzie and said, "You're teaching me photography online." Oh wow! And she literally made a point to be like, "No offense to you, Chris. I love what you do." But I like, just girl to girl, I identify with what Lizzie's doing, awesome. And I admire it. And I thought that was a really cool pinnacle moment that we had experienced.
And you have 15% more females on your channel than I have, so that's great.
15%.
15%.
It is sad that it's such a huge male-dominant field, isn't it? I mean, you said you still have 80% of your audience is male.
And I don't know why that is.
Well, YouTube in general, I've heard, is a male website. Like just
not
in
a lot
general.
of my girlfriends watch YouTube, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's just being an example of this is an opportunity for other people.
That's an amazing story, though. I'm sure that made you feel great.
It was.
It was cool.
And it was fun because my mom was there, and I was like,
see, I'm doing something.
I told you it's working.
Your mom was stoked on that. I was stoked on that moment.
Yeah. I see that you really respect her and like you really support her.
100%, man. She's my
awesome.
best friend.
We're a team.
I love it. You gonna cry?
Probably.
Trying to make
you want me to?
Don't cry.
I'm super like excited that I got to meet you guys, because it's
Likewise.
been so
Yeah.
fun to like hear your journey. And when I look at your work and I look at the things you're doing, there's so many milestones that you've achieved as far as view count, subscribers, things like that.
Yeah.
But then you've also experienced some really cool things in your life too. I mean, this whole journey on YouTube, I'm sure has just been a wild like experience.
Yeah, it's interesting because at the beginning when I first started, you know, every YouTuber, or at least in my experience, my personal experience, I really was excited about hitting 100,000 on YouTube. It's a crazy milestone.
I'm still excited about hitting 100,000.
She's so close. At this,
You'll do
please
it.
go sub Lizzie at this point. But that was such a journey, and at the beginning
Harmless
it was
plug.
like it was just it's like the what do they call it? Like the beginning, the chase, the excitement of getting to that point. It was a lot of work. I loved it. It was a grind. We were still running our business at the time, and when I hit it, it was this moment. Like I joke, I'm a crier, but like I got emotional around it. You know, it's such a big milestone to hit that number. And now I've fallen more in love with the process. Numbers are cool. I can acknowledge like, cool, I hit 200,000. That's sweet. Let's do something, do a giveaway. Let's do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. But that first 100,000 was like a big moment. The excitement around it was awesome.
Can I say something about hitting 100,000?
Sure.
From what I've noticed as well, it can be, if you don't have friends who are in the YouTube space, hitting 100,000 is hard to just digest yourself. I think if you were sitting at home and just watched the numbers turn over to 100,000, you'd be like, I should be happy, but no one's, you know, acknowledging this with me.
A lonely thing what we do, honestly.
Yeah,
unless
rather than if it
friends
was
around.
your birthday, or if you got married, or all these other, you know, you got a promotion at
Relatable,
your job, relatable
milestones.
experiences. And so we make an effort for everyone that we're close with in this space to acknowledge that for them. So with Chris, we had a 100K surprise party.
Yeah, which
There's
is
a-
a video
I
you can
remember
look online, both
Yeah.
on Lizzie's channel and Peter's channel.
I remember
and
seeing pictures of that.
Yeah, it was actually a really fun party. It was really hard keeping the secret from
Yeah,
him.
I had no idea. And so like
Yeah.
that moment with all my friends and seeing how much my life had kind of gone in a new direction was a really cool moment to take in.
And with Becky and Chris recently,
Yeah.
we called Becky because we happened to see when she was so close to rolling up to 100K. So we called her, and you can actually go watch a video on her channel, and you'll see the breakdown of what happened,
cool.
because there's a recording of it, because
Yeah.
I was screen recording. I didn't remember
Yeah.
that I was recording audio. So you hear us like scream on the phone with her and everything. And then a week or two later, or was it that weekend?
Yeah,
We went to
visited.
Buffalo and we surprised her, and we were like, we're gonna have an adventure today.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having those in-person moments
Yeah.
around those
That's what's cool about
milestones are
YouTube.
really
As a freelancer, you could have been landing like super expensive gigs, and like nobody would throw you a
Yeah.
party for it.
no.
But that's it. That number doesn't matter unless you have other people who are there with you and
Exactly.
and
understand what it means.
empathize with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was really cool. So, yes, the 100,000 milestone was awesome. I really loved it. But there's other things that we value just as much too. There's a lot of really cool life milestones that happen within that space as well. So I was joking with one of the other producers here at PolarPro about this experience that I had where after one of the viral videos that I made when I like surfed and played guitar at the same time, I had an inquiry from one of Japan's biggest news outlets, and they wanted to fly a crew over and make a whole episode about this thing where I surf and play guitar at the same time. And to get into the short version of the story, basically on the phone, they were like, we want to teach the host how to surf and play guitar at the same time, which I was like, it's not going to happen. I've been doing this
doesn't
for
normally
9
happen your
years,
first
both
time.
these things.
Yeah.
I literally remember being like, there's absolutely no way she's going to do it. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just very difficult. Right? Like most
'Cause they
people don't
wanted her
even
to-
surf on their first try.
They wanted her to go without the rope.
Yeah.
And you can pull yourself up on the rope the first time.
By
but
the way, you're referring to
It's
what,
wake
wake
surfing.
Wake surfing
So the-
behind a boat.
the
Yeah.
boat
Yeah. 'Cause
creates a wave.
We live in Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach is over here, Surf City,
Yeah.
USA.
Yeah.
When I think surfing, I think of that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys are
We
pulled behind a boat.
we have Canada's version of surfing
So-
when you're like
It's almost
Well-
like redneck surfing.
But you
Yeah.
can go
make
without
your
the
own
rope.
waves.
The boat makes a big enough wave
Yeah.
that you can just surf that wave, which is pretty cool.
And it's
But
continuous too,
It's
right?
continuous.
But it takes a while to get the balance right, so you can keep
Yeah.
going along with the boat without a rope.
Yeah.
And it took me like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times to do that
Yeah, before you were like able to like ride
Ride
longer than
without-
10 seconds
without the rope. Yeah.
without the rope.
So anyways, the host actually came, like
So-
it
so-
actually happened.
Yeah, so then they were like on the phone call, they're like, but the host is balanced on 2 balls at the same time. And I was like, not the same thing
You're like,
at all.
Impressive, but
sure.
no.
Like, so anyways, they flew this this crew from Japan out. We went out in the middle of October in Canada, which is absolutely
Chilly.
freezing. Like, most boats are out of the water by this point, and our boat's there so we can surf with this crew from Japan, which is just the most random situation. Long story short, we filmed some of the segments. They're super awkward and weird.
Because the language barrier?
Language barrier, and there's a translator, and like only one person spoke Japanese and English, so there's like trying to communicate all this. It was really weird. So anyways, we get to the point where I have to teach her how to surf. I'm trying so hard. I'm going through everything that I know when I teach people how to surf, because I was an instructor for a while as well, and she just can't do it for the life of her, and it's fair. It's very difficult. So I'm in the water at one point. She's in the water too. We're in wetsuits. She's freezing because it's so cold. And I looked to one of the translators. I was like, I can surf with her. I'll put her in my arms and we'll surf at the same time. And hopefully you can get what you want. So then one of the producers screams out. So anyways, we get up. She's in my arms. We're surfing together. And one of the producers with the camera like looks around the camera and screams something in Japanese. And then she goes and nods. And then she starts screaming a death metal song at the top of her lungs. So now I have this Japanese woman screaming a death metal song while we're surfing together. And then it just felt like a moment out of a movie where like everything just slowed down. It's like, vroom. And I became so self-aware of all the things I needed to have to come together for this moment to actually occur. There's a guy on a jet ski filming at the same time. There's like a whole crew of Japanese people in the boat. My dad's driving the boat. This woman's in my arms, and I'm just like, what is this moment? What is happening right now? So I look back on those experiences with just as much excitement as around hitting 100K, because those life moments are very unique, and it's by being a creative and by putting things out in the world that these things happen. And I value that story as a funny story as much as I value hitting 100,000 as an emotional story. Life throws the weirdest things at you, but I'm very grateful for being a creative and putting things out in the world, because it wouldn't happen otherwise.
Is that video online?
I've tried to find it, and I can't find it for the life of me.
We've had friends try to find it.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet.
Apparently, we should post on Reddit, and the people of Reddit will help us find it. A friend of ours spent like 6 hours trying to find it, and I just can't find it. I emailed the producer and never emailed me back. So,
wow.
Anyways, life.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yep.
We'll keep that. That'll be a good story to keep.
There is one photo that exists.
Yeah, there's a single photo of me and her smiling. Apparently, she's the biggest comedian in Japan. Oh, okay. And she was offended that I didn't know her.
Really big eyebrows.
Oh, okay.
She's the largest. Were they drawn on?
They were drawn on. Massive eyebrows, and she was wearing a little schoolgirl's outfit. And I remember being like, I was like, what is happening? There's more of that story we'll share for another time, but yeah, life is interesting.
Well, since we have two guests, I'll ask you both, and I'd like an answer from both of you. Mm-hmm. This is a question that I ask at the end of every episode.
Yep.
If you could collaborate or work with any person, dead or alive, who would it be? Somebody that inspires you, somebody that you haven't met yet that you would love to meet, or, like I said, somebody that's not even here anymore?
I mean, just off the top of my head, just because I think they're amazing. I really respect and admire Donald Glover, just as somebody who is like a triple threat, both in music, video, comedy. He's amazing. I don't know if we would hit it off from a personality standpoint. I think he's an incredible creative artist, everything. I think spending a day with him to collaborate or make something would be epic, whatever that is.
And then growing up as a aspiring filmmaker, who really inspired you heavily?
From a filmmaking perspective, I mean, Lizzie and I really love films. I think Steven Spielberg is amazing. As much as he is commercial, I'm not one of these people that's like, I want to find somebody super artsy, and that I like commercial work like that a lot. I think Steven's amazing, right? I think he's an amazing visionary. He's super inspiring. I don't know if it was the most obvious inspiration, but if we're just speaking to something right now, Steven's dope.
Yeah. Can I make a hat out of that?
Yeah.
Spielberg's dope.
Yeah.
I'm a very realistic person, so I don't normally think about my opportunities to collaborate with people who I wouldn't normally meet.
That's why I asked the question.
I know. I've always loved Adele as a musician.
Yeah.
If I just got to hang out with her for an afternoon, that would be ideal, because I think she's hilarious and her voice is like 1,000 angels, and I love singing. So like,
Lizzie's an amazing singer.
Really?
I wouldn't be able to compete with her, but if I got to sing anything with her, I would. That might make me cry. That might make me cry.
Okay.
Noted.
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 Um,
Looks you're like,
I'm not jealous.
gonna have
As
to
far
hire
as-
Adele for your wedding.
Yeah.
someone I wanted to ask to collaborate with me in a video, which I probably will at some point, is actually Sarah Dici.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I probably will the next time we're
I
in New
guarantee
York.
you she would love that.
I'm hoping she will say yes when I ask her. Hopefully it's still
Sarah,
a
if you're
surprise.
listening.
Sarah, if you're listening,
Shoot me a text. I'll like put you in a text with Lizzie.
I have her phone
Yes.
number. What
Oh,
are you
you-
talking about?
Oh, okay. Apparently she has her phone number too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I'm a very realistic person. So.
What do you like about Sarah and what she's doing?
Everything.
I like Sarah's personality. I think
Yeah,
that's a big
100%.
one. It wouldn't no offense, but it wouldn't matter even what she's doing if I didn't like her as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And the time that we've spent with her, I think she's really cool.
Yeah, she's super genuine, really fun.
She knows her stuff.
Yeah.
I think all of the different projects that she's done over the last couple years they're all so different and unique, and her editing style with her own stuff I think is really unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I admire that for sure.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
recently hung out with her, and like it was just so natural to just talk to
Yeah,
her like
she's
a normal
very chill.
person.
Yeah.
And chill, and like
Yeah.
she's just spouting all sorts of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, love Sarah Dici.
Love
You need
that
to do
question.
Yeah. When we're in New York, I'll ask her.
Cool.
it. All right. Any last words of inspiration for somebody who wants to become a person like you, a YouTuber, Instagrammer, photographer, filmmaker, that kind of thing? You know, I hate, for a lack of a better term, Instagrammer, but you know what I mean.
I think it's important to remember that if you're about to start, your first few things that you post or make aren't going to be the best. And that's okay. You still need to put them up anyways. And it's a learning process. And just know that, because we have a lot of friends right now who are in similar boats, and they're just nervous about starting because they don't want to make something that sucks. But I think that's part of it. Make something that sucks. And initially, I think you'll be
Put that on a hat.
make something that sucks. And I look back at my first couple of YouTube videos, and they're not my favorite, but it doesn't matter. I did it anyways, and it's what comes after that really matters.
I think my last, I guess, comment on that would be, there's a lot of people who are always trying to chase like a bigger number in terms of however their creative work is being seen or what their audience is. I always say, look at that number and imagine every single number is a real person and put them all in a room. So whether your audience is 10 people, imagine you were showing 10 people your photo. That would be a little nerve-wracking. Imagine now, make it 100 people, make it 1,000 people. People think those numbers are small. They're not. Look up on Google, 1,000 people in a room.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. So remember that each one of those numbers is a real person. And if you can empathize that, if Instagram wasn't there and you were doing it in real life, it would probably be the scariest thing ever and be a pretty amazing experience. I remember playing to audiences of 30 people and it being very special experiences as a musician. And, you know, it's actually scary now thinking that hundreds of thousands of people might see our photos. And it's a weird way to relate to it. To come back to that, look that number up and you'll be amazed on how it makes you feel when you present that creative work.
That's a wonderful perspective, and I've always thought that too, because I came from a performing background, and I'm really glad you said that, because I think a lot of people don't have that perspective. That is amazing. Well, Chris and Lizzie, it was awesome hanging out with you guys.
Thanks for having us.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a really fun podcast. We've been here for a while.
Yeah.
I know. So much great wisdom, amazing people.
Thank you.
We'll see you at your wedding.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We're going to hire you to shoot it.
Yeah, probably.
Please no. No, I'll do it.
Sweet. Thanks for having us.
I really love the metaphor that Chris gave us at the end there about every view being a real person. I think sometimes as a modern creative, we can be removed from the views and the likes that we get and just look at them as numbers instead of people. So next time that you're looking at your likes or your views, remember every single person that watched that thing is a real person and they're getting value from the work that you're doing. So even if it's 5 or 6 people, those 5 or 6 people are hopefully affected by the thing that you did and you're bringing value to their life. So with that, every view on this video counts. I care about you and care about what you think about this video. So leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of our interview with Chris and Lizzie. The Golden Hour podcast goes live on the PolarPro channel every single Tuesday, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and enable the bell notification so that you know exactly when the next episode comes out. Once again, I'm Dave Mays. This is the Golden Hour podcast, and I'll see you next week.